And now that you've watched my video on how to prep your floor for epoxy paint, I'm going to show you the reasons why I chose the 1-part epoxy over the 2-part epoxy paint, even though it is the more unpopular opinion. So what I got was the Bare Premium 1-part epoxy paint along with the bonding primer. This will help epoxy adhere to the concrete even better. I believe that 1-part epoxies get poor reviews just simply because of user error. People like to apply it without a bonding primer, they don't prep the surface properly, or they paint it over dirt or old paint. They're just not using the product correctly. Here we are pouring out the primer. As you can see, it is very liquidy, so we got to be very careful with it. We're just going to take a small brush and we're going to do all along the edges so we don't make a mess with the roller. So while we prime the borders here, I'll explain the first reason on why I chose 1-part over 2-part epoxy, and that is the lower cost. 2-part epoxy is more expensive. You can buy them in those kits. You have to buy multiple kits depending on the size of the garage or the floor that you want to do. It cost me about $100 for the 1-part, and it would cost me roughly $600 to get enough kits to do the 2-part epoxy. And just the quality of the epoxy in those kits are nowhere near the quality you would get if you were to hire somebody to come do it for you. They have access to better stuff. So for me, the option was to use the 1-part, and I can touch it up with the paint if ever there's an issue. As some of you know, I am turning my garage into a workshop. Therefore, I will not be parking a car in the garage. Most people are worried about hot tire peel up where the tires will pull the paint off of the concrete. This is entirely possible with 1-part epoxy paints. So if you're planning to put a car, maybe 1-part isn't the right choice for you. However, if you do not prep properly, even those 2-part epoxy kits will be peeled up by hot tires from a car. Now we're here just prepping the roller. It's unbelievably watery. It makes a mess. I'm shocked that it was this watery. I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting it to be as the same consistency as paint primer. However, it wasn't. Just watch how shocked I was when I put the roller on the floor and watched all of it squeeze out. Even though if I rolled it out here, I put it down. Now, look at look at the amount that went towards the wall. I was like, okay, this is a lot wetter than I thought it would be. So just keep that in mind if you use this bonding primer. While we roll this out here, I'm going to give you another reason why I chose the 1-part, and that's because it's DIYer friendly. If you fail your job doing the 1-part, it is very fixable. If you fail at applying the 2-part epoxy, you're going to be in some pretty deep waters. I spoke to a guy who does epoxy flooring professionally for a living, and he told me that a lot of his jobs are fixing problems that DIYers do themselves. As in, they buy those kits, they attempt to do the floor themselves, and they end up making a mess of their floor. So they hire a professional now to come in and fix the job after they spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars screwing it up. So the fact that this is a lot easier to apply, and I don't really have to worry too much about messing it up because it's fixable. You know, I like a good challenge, but this is one of those things I needed to get done quick and hassle-free because I have some bigger, better content ideas to share with you guys. So please sub and you can find out what those are. There are going to be more woodworking type videos, but obviously my workshop isn't built yet. That's why I want to get this done, because I am not a concrete paint guy. I don't want to be. However, I did learn a lot from this project, and hopefully you can learn something from this too. Because this bonding primer is so liquidy, this is the faster way I've decided to do it. Just pour a dab and get going. While we're still applying the coat of bonding primer, I like to talk about another reason why I chose the 1-part paint, and that's because of the shorter cure times. 2-part epoxy paint could take 7 to 10 days to cure, and I didn't have that type of time. You know, I needed to use this space, and I needed something that was quick and easy, and the 1-part epoxy checked that box off for me. You would apply this bonding primer, and then 30 minutes later, you can actually apply the first coat of epoxy. After that first coat is done, you wait about 24 hours, and you can apply that second coat. After 24 hours after that, you could most likely walk on it. You know, I wouldn't put heavy equipment or tools. It's still kind of fresh, but 3 days, you're ready to use it. So now you're comparing a cure time of 7 to 10 days for the 2-part epoxy to a 3-day maximum cure time for a 1-part. It was at this moment I realized I have done the unthinkable, and I painted myself into a small spot here. Yeah. So time to hike up the pants and take the deepest lunge I've taken in a long time. There's a little place to put my foot so I'm not standing on anything, and I made it. Here we go. It's epoxy time, and look at the consistency. It's not the same as the bonding primer. It looks and feels and moves like paint, and you're gonna apply it exactly like paint. That's another reason why I chose 1-part epoxy. It has the easiest application, right? You've painted walls before, you've painted in art class in high school or grade school. You just do the same thing. Anybody can apply this stuff. You just use the brush and the roller and repeat the exact same steps we used for the bonding primer. Now here comes the most fun moment of this process, when the floor completely transforms in front of your eyes. When you apply this first coat here with the roller, and you can see that color that you've chosen come through, and you could tell right away if you like it or not. And I like this nice slate color. Speaking on colors, there's a whole lot of colors you could choose from, whether it's 1-part or 2-part epoxies. Those 2-part epoxy kits come with those little flakes. They can really change the look of the floor, but I do find that those kits don't come with enough flakes. So even if you watch this video and you decide to go with a 2-part epoxy kit with the flakes, I would highly recommend that you purchase additional flakes and watch a method that you could probably find on YouTube, where they oversaturate the floor with the flakes, let it cure, and then they come by and scrape it all up and clean it up later. I find that this floor looks phenomenal. However, like I said, it's not as easy to complete as a DIYer. You can mess it up, and it'll be an expensive repair if you do. If you decide to take on that challenge, go get additional flakes. They don't cost that much more, and it will make the outcome way better. Obviously, this finish won't be as good as a 2-part epoxy. However, you gotta weigh out the pros and cons. This isn't a showroom, this is a workshop. A large percentage of my floor will be covered with tools and other things. And also, will it add any value to the house if ever I decide to move? All that should be factored into your decision on what product you want to use. At least I didn't paint myself into the same spot as before. Now we could just finish off the last little spot here. And here's the final product after 2 coats. I hope this video helped you out in making a decision. If not, you'll probably go to the next video. But before you do, please comment, share your thoughts with me. I'd love to hear them, and I'll see you in the next one.